All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about Ashes of Creation's latest live stream covering Node Wars. Now, before we dive into all things Node Wars, I just wanted to provide a brief preface for you. I've been doing Ashes of Creation content for a little over 2 years now. I've had a lot of fun following this project, so much so that I decided to cover it on my channel. And each month, Ashes of Creation comes out with new videos covering different things that they're working on. I really like the open development process. I really like that they are keeping us updated with where the game's at. I don't think there will be people uninformed as to what this game is when it goes live for that reason. And so I like that open transparency that they have. And over the last couple of years, I've been covering their live streams of different systems. And one of the things that always blows me away about this game is just how ambitious it is. It is such an ambitious project that they are attempting to undertake. There are lots of systems attempting to intertwine with each other to make a very elaborate and in-depth game. And so last year, when we went through freeholds, when we looked at mayoralship for nodes, when we looked at all these different systems, I came away impressed that the developers just thought about this game and the systems that they're doing on a deeper level than a lot of games that I have played or I am currently playing. And I came away with the thought of, you know, these aren't my main player loops. MMORPGs have all sorts of different player loops. Some of us like farming, some of us like crafting, dungeons, trials, PvP, dueling, whatever. We all have our favorite player loops. And I came away impressed with the fact that although they weren't covering my main player loops, their attention to detail was so good. I was really looking forward to the point when they would discuss my main player loops. It's like, okay, you guys have cooked for everybody else. You guys have provided all these awesome things for everybody else. What am I getting, right? What am I looking forward to? And I have to say, this latest live stream, it's for me. Node Wars, Node PvP, this is my main player loop. This is something that I am very excited to engage in. And because of that, I'm going to be a little bit more critical. I'm going to be a little bit more critical about what I'm looking for, what I want out of these systems. And yeah, we're going to talk about what we actually got out of this live stream in this video. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Now, to preface, I did a video a few days ago before the live stream happened talking about what we know about Node Wars. I went on the Wikipedia, I read as much as I could, I gleaned as much information as possible, gave it to you guys piecemeal, and then talked about what we don't know and things that I wanted to find out. And one of the first things I brought up is rewards. What is the reward structure? A lot of MMORPGs in the past that I have played, the reward structure hasn't been very good, to a point to where it almost feels like it's a hollow system. The system exists, but it's kind of just piecemealed together, and you don't really feel rewarded for participating in it. Sure, the PvP is fun, but there's nothing else outside of it. And in MMORPGs, you know, a lot of other systems reward you for your time, and that's not always the case in PvP. So I was very curious about individual-based rewards. Are players going to be incentivized to participate in this? I also was looking at incentivization for nodes. What happens when you win these? What happens when you win a node war? What happens when you lose a node war? These consequences or benefits need to be beneficial. They need to impact the world in a way to where people will be inclined to participate in the systems. PvP has to function with players. I know this is crazy. It's player versus player. Where a lot of PvP systems die is when people lose interest and they stop playing. And all of a sudden, if you're participating in a system and there's nobody to fight or engage with, you're not going to have as much fun with the system. And so the system needs to be designed in a way that rewards players in a very valuable way, and looking at it through individual basis and from a node perspective of, hey, if we don't win, we lose this, or hey, if we win this, is incentivization, and it's very important. I also wanted to see what their objective-based PvP layout is going to be. Now, I have been a big believer that these systems promote gameplay. I even said it in one of my latest videos the last couple of weeks that if the system is good, players will work towards winning and trying hard to play the gameplay loop. If the gameplay loop can be exploited, if the system can be abused by potentially sending a lot of people or abusing one very specific mechanic, it's the system's fault that the game is unenjoyable. And so I wanted to see what their player loops were going to be. And finally, what I wanted to get out of it as well was I wanted a depth of the system. I don't want just like, hey, we'll go to this area and fight, right? I wanted variability. I wanted different ways to engage in node wars. If you're going to have objective-based PvP events, explain what your options are. Explain what these different objectives are. Have a variety of things instead of like, hey, we're going to have a domination style map with 3 flags in an area. You have to control as many flags as possible over an hour-long time period. Whoever controls the most wins. And we're just going to play it the same way for 3 straight years. I wanted something a little bit more in depth, something a little bit more incentivized with the players in mind, if that makes sense. And so those are the things I was looking forward to, and they hit every single one out of the park like I expected they would. Individually, players are rewarded with glint, which is their resource, gold essentially. You can use it to buy things. And so you got players that participate in the system will get glint. They will also get experience. If you win, you potentially get a higher level gear drop as well. So individual rewards are already laid out in a way that it's good. And hopefully they'll have that weighed over time to make sure that, you're not in a world where things cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of gold in game. You're not getting like 50 gold for participating in a 2-hour-long war. Hopefully they have the sliding scale of rewards on and making it meaningful in order to participate in the system. But I like what I heard there. Rewards for the nodes. Oh my goodness, guys. There are different ways you can wage war on another node. You can either siphon experience from the node. For those of you guys that don't know, nodes is the village system, and you guys are fighting for who is going to have the higher level node. And the reason you would go to war with nodes is you want to push forward your node and your node's experience agenda. Well, what you can do is if you win the war, you can siphon some experience off the other node and give it to yourself. You can siphon gold off of the other node and give it to yourself. So if you have a node next to you that really likes to farm and collect resources and they're a big merchanting guild, you might want to go topple them over and take their gold. Really cool idea. Another option that they had was you can take over mayoralship duties. And for those of you guys that don't know, being a mayor in one of these nodes is very impactful. You assign commissions, you set out ways development of different buildings to promote the growth within your node as a mayor. If that responsibility goes to somebody else that doesn't have your best interest in mind, it's setting you back in a very negative way. And so all these sorts of incentivizations intertwine together to where players are like, okay, on a micro level, on a very small level, I'm getting rewarded with experience. I'm getting rewarded with gold. I'm getting rewarded with potential gear drops. All this stuff is really good. But on a more macro level, if I want to become if I want my node to advance to where I can experience better quest lines and I can have better gear and I can have all these other things, I need to make sure that we don't lose this node war because we're going to be put back by our neighboring node. We're going to be set back because of it. And so you have these incentivizations on multiple different levels for players to participate in. And so all this is great. And then they go into one of their live stream systems that will happen during 6 to 8 p.m. The wars will happen 24/7. So if I declare a war on you guys, we can fight all day, every day. But then they will have objective-based PvP events during prime time of that server of 6 to 8 p.m. And so the overall war is a series of these events. So on Monday, you will have a 6 to 8 p.m. primetime event that you can participate in that goes towards the node war. On Tuesday, you will have another one. On Wednesday, you will have another one. I don't know how many of these are going to be. I don't know how long the node war will last. I think this is one of those things where it varies due to the decisions the different types of wars you can decide. I think you can have varying lengths of node wars. So when I was talking to DA from the Envious Guild on Friday after the live stream, he made it sound like, yeah, there's going to be 3, 4, 5 of these different potential events, which leads me to believe that node wars can last 3, 4 plus days. And so I think that's really cool. I think that's cool that when you hop online, you can participate by killing people in the other node. You're giving your team points, and if you can hop on during prime time, you then complete these objectives. Now, diving into the objectives, very, very impressed with this as well. From a outside looking in perspective, sometimes these types of objective-based PvP events, they really, like I said earlier, you can really promote a certain type of gameplay due to what objectives you have. If you're fighting for control over an area and you have one flag, and the entire objective of the entire gameplay is to have a domination style map where you control one point, everybody's going to funnel to that one point. Okay. And so that game design system is large group based PvP. Whoever has the largest, most functional group is going to win that specific match. That's just the way it is. You have 1 point you're fighting over, everybody's going to meet in the middle, right? If you have 6 of these points, just bare bones, like generic, like you just need to control as many points as possible, one group can go to 1 point and dominate that 1 point. And their win rate is going to be fantastic because they're just not encountering as many people. But in order to win that objective, you want people to spread out. So if one entire army is taking 1 point and the other army is taking the other 4, they're going to end up winning those objectives. So it's, although you're not dying as much and you're working together and you're not wiping, you're also not winning the objective. The objective in that specific scenario is to spread out. And so I was curious what their objectives were going to be in this type of game loop. And what they showed me was better than I expected. I was optimistic. It was better than I expected because they provided incentivization for players to participate in the system, whether or not you're PvP inclined like myself or not. And that is such a huge aspect to this type of gameplay loop. This is a PvX game. I've talked about it in the past on other videos. I really am looking forward to the fact that when we hop into this game, it's not PvEers versus PvPers. It's not this stupid divide among the player base. We're all just players participating. And we like our favorite player loops, but we're PvXers. We're all together playing the exact same game together. I'm more PvP inclined, and some of you guys may be more PvE inclined, and that's okay. But the objectives for this specific player loop, although it is Node Wars and it is PvP based, they do have PvE based systems where you go out and you kill NPCs, the highwayman bandits. You want to collect blood vials for a specific objective. They also want you to go out and collect rubies. And so there's different objectives on the map that different players can engage in. So if you're fighting over a point, maybe your PvP groups want to go over there and fight over the point with the other groups. Players that may not want to fight or they don't think they're very good at it, they can go around and collect these rubies. It's still a PvP area. You can still fight, you can still engage in these things, but you don't feel like you're letting your team down if you're not a good PvPer. You get to participate by potentially being a ranger and roaming around and farming these things, and you're collecting stuff for your specific node. And so this is drawing in players that are more PvP and PvE leaning into a PvX environment, which I think it's really good and it's really, really smart. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, you don't like PvP, that's fine. You can still participate. You can still help your node by doing these specific things. And I think that's awesome. And for PvPers, it's, hey, you still have these objectives. You have these wide-ranging different objectives. Will create situations where players can either decide to group up into large groups if they want to, or spread out and accomplish them more quickly. And so we don't know who's going to win these things. It's whoever plays better. But these types of strategies and these types of events, it's really, really good to see. It's really good to see that they're providing all these sorts of incentives and all these sorts of gameplay loops within this system that different types of players would enjoy. And so if you can't tell, I liked the live stream. I liked it a lot. I would even go so far as to say that it has been live stream of the year. I hinted at that earlier on this week about if it would be the case, and I think it was. I think every single month's live stream this year has been really good, and they keep getting better and better, which makes sense. This game is getting developed more and more, and this is the best one that they've come out with so far. It's a very big system, but once again, just like Freeholds, just like Mayoralship, just like all these other intricate, in-depth systems, these developers are gamers that are designing a game with the player base in mind. And I think it's an awesome thing. I think it's an awesome thing. And I just want to say, Intrepid, Steven, can you guys announce Alpha 2 like July 1st, please? July is the start of quarter 3. Let's just start July 1st. July 1st, quarter 3. Let's go. Get me an Alpha 2. Let me test these systems. Let me provide feedback. Let me enjoy testing and helping out to make this game the best it possibly can be. But those are my opinions. I'm just one person. I want to hear your guys as well. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the live stream. Let me know. Are you a PvEer, PvPer at heart? Or is this a system you're interested in or not? Did it change your mind? No, let's just have a conversation. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.